Welcome to Career Tools. This is Sarah.
And I'm Mark.
Today's podcast, answering the question, why do you want to work here? Part 1 of 1.
As always, our content has been crafted by humans. We're now certified by Proudly Human. The questions this cast answers are, how do I answer, why do you want to work here? What is the right answer to why do you want to work here? And why is this question so important?
If you want answers to these questions and more, keep listening.
If you're managing people or getting ready to, the Career Tools license is just the starting point. The Manager Tools license adds exclusive Manager Tools podcast content, the MT chatbot for real-time guidance on any management situation, the interview creation tool, Trinity rollout emails to implement your tools immediately, feedback examples, and priority 24-hour support. Upgrade your license today. Visit manager-tools.com.
Today, we're talking about the interview question, why do you want to work here? And actually, this is going to kick off, I'm going to say a bit of a series where we cover some of the commonly asked questions in an interview so that the folks out there know how to answer those questions. And this one specifically, why do you want to work here, is a dispositive question for many interviewers. That is, an enthusiastic, well thought out, thorough answer is going to make up for maybe potentially poor answers elsewhere, whereas a stuttered half answer that hasn't been well thought out is going to detract from the entire interview. So today we're talking about the right way to answer this question so that those folks out there who have to answer it are shining in their interview.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, it's absolutely, having conducted thousands, tens of thousands of interviews, I'm telling you, if people have an answer that I'm pretty sure they could give to 5 or 6 other companies, it's vague, it's generic and so on, and it's not leaning forward, not excited, I'm uninterested. I'm sorry, I'm just uninterested. So yeah, it is absolutely dispositive. So 4 parts to our outline. Step number 1, you have to have a positive answer. Okay. Step number 2, you have to talk about what you admire about the company. Step 3, what do you hope to learn? And step 4, what can you contribute?
Absolutely. Okay. So folks, we're going to start with the first part. You have to have a positive answer. And this question, why do you want to work here, is a really common one. I don't know, Mark, you could disagree with me on this one, but I would say like 80% or more of interviews ask the question.
Yeah. Oh, no question. Yeah. There are all kinds of weird interviews that happen out there these days. And, we're doing AI this, we're doing video that, we're doing written answers. And there are all kinds of companies doing stupid stuff, which is about 20%. But the smart ones, the 80%, they're asking, why do you want to work here?
And folks, honestly, you're sitting there, you're interviewing. This one ought to be a softball. So for that reason, not having an answer is a serious error. Not having an answer shows, first, that you haven't thought about what might be asked. Second, it appears that you haven't prepared properly since you don't have an answer to a very common question. And third, and in my mind, probably the most egregious of all of them, it makes it look like you don't even really want to work for that company. Because if you did, you'd be able to come up with something other than stumbling around trying to find your words or going blank or say something lame. Again, folks, it ought to be a softball. It's kind of like the analogy I'm going to use here is asking someone to marry you and not being able to say why you chose them over all the other people you could have chosen. Frankly, if you fail this one, if you can't even make something up on the spot, even though you should be able to answer it, it just proves maybe you're not the right choice for this one.
Yeah. And not only do you have to have a prepared answer, it has to be a positive one.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't describe why you're leaving your present company and expect that to satisfy someone about why you're interviewing with us. You can't say, I hate my current manager, or my current company won't give me more money, or I'm bored with my current job, or hey, every job, every career, every company has cycles, and I'm at the end of mine with my company, so I'm looking for something new. I mean, taking it back to our marriage example, Sarah's marriage example, your answer can't essentially be, I'm marrying you because all the other people are worse. Okay. You have to have a positive reason for choosing this company. And by the way, that's not all the criteria, because not only do you need to have positive answers, because otherwise, why would they hire you? Because you're just looking for a job. And I don't want to hire somebody who's looking for a job. I want to hire somebody who has some fire, who, when we say, oh my gosh, we're going to have to pull all-nighter, they're like, yeah, okay, I can do that. You guys treat me good. And I like the mission, and I like my boss, and I like my colleagues. So by gosh, this is what we're going to do. You not only have to have thought about it, you have to give an answer that isn't off the top of your head that anybody could give.
Yeah, exactly. And folks, for all these reasons, I mean, it's okay if you have positive reasons for working at several companies. That's not disingenuous. I mean,
no.
Continuing our example, until you're married, you're allowed to ask several people to marry you. And you can have good, positive reasons for asking all of those people. Now, we wouldn't recommend that you share all of those other reasons during the proposal itself. You're probably going to get a no, which is kind of similar to this idea that my saying as a response to the question, why do you want to work here? Yeah, I kind of just really hate my current manager. Is just not even about the company itself. It's more about why you're leaving the previous, and that's not a good look. It's just not.
Yeah, I remember interviewing with Michelin and with Procter & Gamble, and I remember I told Procter & Gamble, great, I'm going to shorten this enormously rather than giving you word for word. Great company, historically great company, great opportunity, chance to be in sales. At Michelin, I was interviewing for an engineering job. And so I said, big challenges, a chance to use my technical skills, and some of the smartest engineers I ever met. That was true. The people at Michelin, the Michelin engineers were just like smart beyond what I thought was smart. So you have to decide for each company what it is that pulls you to them. So when you answer, you want to say something like, I've admired your company for a long time. Your environmental and social policy is something I really believe in. I believe I can contribute by bringing my grassroots knowledge of ecological research to clothing design. I'm excited about being part of a movement as well as working to supply people with the clothing they need for their adventures. Okay. You might say that if you're interviewing at Patagonia.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Yvon Chouinard's company. Yeah, would work great. Okay. And now, is that the answer they want to hear? Actually, companies will tell you, interviewers like me will tell you, I want to hear an answer that I believe resonates with you, that you can sell, that I'm convinced you believe that. And obviously it has to be tailored to me. But too many people just think they can genericize everything and say, well, for every company, I want a great opportunity, great people, and a challenge. Well, okay, that's fine. If I were to say to both Procter and Michelin, well, I'm looking for three things. I'm looking for great people, great opportunity, and a challenge. That is not going to work. While those things may be true, they could infer that to be true about those companies. You haven't done enough to customize it to them.
Yeah, that's exactly it. You're right. It's generic. It could work for anyone ever, which is, I mean, kind of like I hate my current manager. It's generic.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't resonate with the person to whom you're speaking. And going back to Mark, your previous answer there, which you said would work for Patagonia, but also, since there are many outdoor adventure companies with very strong environmental policies, you might be able to say that same thing in an interview for all of them. That is, folks, we're not recommending you make it generic, but that doesn't mean you couldn't have the same answer for many different employers because the reason that you want to work there, the thing that resonates for you and them, is the same thing. And going back to, again, the purpose of it, in that moment, you want the interviewer to firmly believe that they are the only one for you. And this is created for them. Just because it's the same for multiple companies doesn't make that less true.
Yeah. Okay, so now let's talk about our recommended first step, which is what do you admire about them? Okay. And too many people leave this out because they think about themselves first rather than what's admirable about the company. When you're considering your answer to why do you want to work here, describing what you admire about the company is a great place to start. It can be anything from their entrepreneurial ambition, their mission, their history of success, their financial acumen, the people they serve, their customer service policies, a story you read about how they went the extra mile. It has to be genuine enough that you can sound enthusiastic. And look, folks, to be honest, if you're not enthusiastic about working there, we might ask, why are you interviewing there in the first place? Right? And so be careful about this. If you're not really excited about something and you think you can put one over on somebody and sell them on how excited you are, all that's going to happen is the person you are purporting to be is going to get an offer. You might, lacking any other offers, accept it. And now you're a round peg in a square hole and you immediately start looking for another job. And you know what? The company that hired you feels that you misled them because you did. And you're back to the same misery you were before you were looking the last time. So hold yourself to a higher standard and only interview with companies that you can have a good answer to why you want to work there.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And folks, another thing to keep in mind is everyone likes to be told what they're good at. So I would say, as a listener of our podcasts, you are both intelligent and hardworking. Wink, wink.
And I might say good looking as well.
And I'm good looking as well. They are quite good looking. I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
yes, exactly.
So folks, if you tell the interviewer that you admire the company they're working for, that is, you say to them, this company has true values that resonate with me and ones that I thoroughly agree with. It says to, or it helps your interviewer realize that you admire the company they work for and are in turn reinforcing their personal choice in working there as well. You're essentially saying, you, person that I'm speaking to right now, made a really good choice and I want to emulate you. So it's not just about the company. It's a little bit about connecting with them and helping them see that you agree with their choices as well.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. You made a point there about values. You said, I really align with your values. I'm going to be next week in not Salt Lake City, I'm forgetting the name of it. Sun Valley. No, that's in Idaho. Park City.
Park City, thank
Utah,
you. Mm-hmm.
With Powder, one of our client companies who runs ski resorts. And we are doing a session on one-on-ones and feedback. And in the course of the session, Eric Woodruff, their Chief Human Resources and CFO officer, shared with me their values. So so I'm thinking about that because he asked me to tie our feedback examples in the training to their values, which I thought made total sense. So Eric, tip of the hat to you. Nevertheless, imagine you say, yeah, I really align with the values. And then when they say, oh, really? That's great. I mean, we really work hard on those. Which one?
Yeah. Which one most resonates with you?
Right. And you got nothing.
Because you don't know.
Now you're a liar and you're not getting an offer. So you might have to do some research. You can't just say things in an interview. It has to be rooted in some factual connection to them and to you and so on. And look, we're not just saying this stuff to make them feel good. It's also beneficial to you to think about what you want to work for in a company, okay? About why you want to work for somebody. Who knows, you might learn something that make you decide, I don't think this is a good fit for me. And you might think, I might feel like that's a little bit of a first world problem that I would turn down an opportunity from a company when I need a job. But again, you're going to come back to being miserable if you go to work for the wrong company. simply because you need to make money.
Yeah, I think you're right, Mark. I think there's a difference between the decisions you might make and the choices you might make if you are unemployed and need money versus the choices you might make if you're just trying to find a different or better opportunity. I do think that plays a little bit into it, but you're right. I mean, if you're in a position where you have choice and you don't just have to take whatever offer you can get, then this is probably making a choice to work with a company whose values you don't align with probably isn't the right move. It's probably a lot smarter to just stay with your current company who you're leaving for whatever good reason, I'm sure, and not make this temporary step. Instead, wait till a longer term, better step comes along.
Yeah, exactly.
Managing a hybrid team requires more intentionally than most managers apply. And the ones who figure it out early build the best teams, regardless of where people sit. The Virtual Effective Remote Manager Conference teaches you the specific behaviors and communication adjustments that keep remote and hybrid teams connected, productive, and loyal over the long term. 3 hours live. For more information, visit manager-tools.com/ERM.
All right, so folks, that takes us to what do you hope to learn? Now, many people lead their answer with what they hope to learn in a new position. The problem with that approach is that it's more about what the company will provide you than what you're going to actually provide to the company. And from the interviewer's perspective, they're going to pay you. And you just want an opportunity to learn more too. So am I, the interviewer, potentially the hiring manager here, am I going to have to manage your expectations around learning? Are you going to be unhappy if you don't learn the things that you want to? Are you going to be more of a headache than you are a help? Because your desire is to serve yourself as opposed to the organization.
Yeah. Now, look, on the other hand, it's possible that someone who isn't learning or growing in a professional role, that may be you right now, won't stick around, right? A desire for growth can also be a good thing and demonstrating a depth of thought about how your career is going to develop within the company is a positive. My recommendation regarding if you think learning is powerful for you, I would only use that as a reason to want to work for companies who tout that they're a learning organization, that they believe in systemic learning, that they want people to grow, that they want people to develop. Now, another thing I'll mention is you have to be careful. Sometimes interviewers, cranky people like me, will say, so you say you want to learn. What kind of stuff do you want to learn? And we tease out that ultimately what you're saying is, I want a career where I'm going to get promoted. And you have to be cautious about that. The way you handle that is you say, actually, for me, it's not about promotions. It's about serving more. It's about growing more. It's up to me to grow and develop and to learn. I believe in an ethical company. If I grow, develop, and learn in the right ways and the right alignment with the company, those things will happen. But those will be outcomes of my behavior. It's not the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yeah. So, yes, folks, to our point, it's both, it is positive to display this desire for lifelong learning, but it can also be seen as potentially a slight detriment in the interview itself. So, to find a happy medium between those two diverging thought paths, we would recommend you do two things. One, we don't lead with what we're going to learn. If you don't mention it first, it demotes the learning you want to do in importance. And then second, we express it in the vein of contribution. So, for example, I'm excited to have the opportunity to develop my currency hedging skills and contribute to the company's effectiveness in that area. Or you could say, I'm looking forward to developing my writing skills further and helping the company communicate with its customers more effectively. So you are tying in the fact that you want to learn, but you're doing it in a way that makes it very clear that your learning benefits the organization.
You're not contributing
just about
more.
Yeah, it's not just about what you'll get.
You're going to become a more valuable employee. Yeah,
yes, exactly.
So the third thing in our recommendation is what can you contribute? Okay. One of the underlying questions that interviewers have of interviewees is, what can you do for me? So the why do you want to work here question is a very thinly veiled version of this question. Okay. If I expect you to do 3 things, and when I ask you, why do you want to work here? None of those things are in my list. That's a bit of a red flag for me, right? So we're going to make sure that you answer the contribution question as well.
Absolutely. So folks, beginning with, I believe I can contribute, helps you format the sentence as well as making it really clear that that specific thing is what you're going to address first. Make sure that the contribution you mention is something that you know is required in this job that you're interviewing for. And if you have established their biggest pain point and you know what they most want to solve in this hiring, use that. I mean, that's a gimme. That's just a choose that, whatever it is. That's the thing that will be most impactful, most persuasive in your answer.
And an accountant who says, I believe I can contribute by instilling my happy-go-lucky nature into the team is a lot less appealing than one who says, I believe I can contribute by bringing my knowledge of offshore joint ventures to leverage your new joint venture strategy to maximum advantage and my experience of volumetric analysis automation to enhance the procedures you already have in place. Okay? In other words, it has to align to them. It has to make sense to them in terms of your contribution. You can't just say that my 3 biggest strengths are these and then say, therefore you should like them. You should be thinking about your strengths or about your passions and then aligning them to what the company needs.
Yeah. And folks, we're not saying that a happy-go-lucky accountant is bad. That's not at all what we're saying. I mean, a happy-go-lucky, a positive accountant would be a great person to have around. We don't disagree with that sentiment, but your demeanor isn't necessarily something that the company is going to want to pay for. Whereas skills and experience that can be leveraged to increase profit, now that's something that a company will pay for. So that's kind of what we're trying to get at here.
And as people who are familiar with manager tools, career tools, and executive tools know, we have an interviewing series that if you become a licensee, you get access to. And one of our favorite things to recommend, it's my favorite part of interviewing, is closing, which is where you say at the end of the interview, I want an offer and here's why. Think about that for a second. Preparing for this question, for why do you want to work here, gives you a long version and gives you some insight into how you should be preparing your close. Effectively, you're telling the company why they should make you an offer. Preparing for this question is barely any extra work if you've already prepared your close. So you can reverse engineer or essentially draw out from your close what things make you want to work there. Although often the close is about you and what you can do. You're trying to sell them on yourself. And so you'll have to make sure that you're making it aligned with the company. If you don't have a close, creating the answer to this question will be a little bit harder. And heaven forbid, if you don't have a close and you don't have a good answer to this, chances are there are 3 or 4 people. Remember, folks, everybody who gets interviewed can do the job. By definition, that's how interviews work. Okay. The question is, when we're interviewing, who's the best fit? Well, if you're roughly equivalent to 2 or 3 other people, but 1 or 2 of those other people actually have a great answer to why do they want to work there and they have a close, you're not going to be the one that gets the offer. Sorry.
Yeah. And folks, we will make sure that we have got linked at the bottom of this podcast, the links to our interviewing series and specifically the podcast on a close. If you are a career tools or manager tools or executive tools for that matter, licensee, you will have access to the interviewing series and all the podcasts that are part of that as well. So to wrap it up, folks, the question, why do you want to work here, sounds simple, but it takes a little bit more thought than that. It's asked in the vast majority of interviews, and yet most candidates are really unprepared for it. Whereas A strong answer tells the interviewer 3 things simultaneously. 1, you've done your homework. 2, that you genuinely want to be a part of this organization. And then 3, that you can understand fully what you as the candidate can provide to the company, not just what they can give you. And it's not just an interview technique. This idea that you would work for an organization and give them what they need, folks, that's professionalism. And we recommend you do that.
Yeah. And it's not hard to create an answer and to have a different one for every company you're interviewing with. It's 5 minutes and it's easily practicable.
That's exactly it.
It really is.
Thank you for that, Mark. Thank you for joining me today.
Okay. Huh.
All right, folks, thank you so much for joining us. We hope this one helped you. Now, help us help others and tell your friends. And of course, follow, rate, and review our podcast. And remember, 5 stars only, please.
5 stars only, please. Unless you can give us 6, then you should do that.